Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing my September TBR video and I'm going to be participating in the O.W.L.s readathon, which is hosted by O.W.L.s. She puts so much work into this readathon, and one of these years I'll finally be able to participate when it's actually being held. I really wanted to participate in September because September is like back to school month and it's the time of the year that I really start thinking most about Harry Potter. I thought that it would be a good back to school kind of readathon for myself, not that I'm going to school or anything. Now I definitely have the Potter musical Gotta Get Back to Hogwarts song stuck in my head. When I was picking out my TBR for this readathon, I really wanted to go with the prompts that would kind of fit what I already have on my TBR. The one thing that I don't like about readathons is I don't like necessarily reading things that I wouldn't have read otherwise just so that I could fulfill a challenge, because I really want to focus on reading what I want to read. Thankfully, this one worked out very well. There were a lot of books that I really wanted to read that fit along with a lot of the prompts. The career route that I want to go is the librarian route. So I believe there are 5 O.W.L.s that I need to complete, though I do have more books on my TBR than those 5 requirements. And for some of those requirements, I have more than one book. So here we go. So the first book on my list is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. This is the next book that we're reading in September for Fairy-a-thon. Technically, this book works for the herbology prompt, which is to read a book with a plant on the cover. I technically don't need to fulfill an herbology requirement, but I am reading this book for sure because of our readathon. And if you wanted to see the live show for Valiant and Ironside, you can check that out on Alexa's channel. Unfortunately, I couldn't make that show, but the rest of the girls talked about all of their feelings about it, and we're going to reconvene in September for a Darkest Part of the Forest live show. It's either going to be on Mel's channel or my channel. Not sure which one yet, but I'll keep you guys updated probably on Instagram. And now for the requirements that I actually do have to fulfill. The first one is Ancient Runes, which is a retelling. For this, I am torn between 2 books, and you're gonna see why I picked a couple of options for each of these prompts. So the first one is a short book, and that is The Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh. This one is a loose retelling of the Green Man myths, and I believe there's like some fae in it, and I'm excited to read this one. It's a Tor.com novella, so it's on the shorter side. It's only 103 pages, so this will probably be a pretty quick read, and I wanted to have the option of reading this one because a lot of the other books that I've chosen are really long. And then my other option for Ancient Runes is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This one is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. It follows a girl named Miriam whose father is a debt collector. He is not very good at his job. He lends out a lot of money and their family's kind of on the brink of debt because he's not good at collecting back what is owed to him. So Miriam kind of takes up the mantle and she goes out to collect all of the debts, and she ends up being surprisingly good at it. And then she finds out that she has this ability to turn silver coins into gold coins. I'm not sure if that is like literal magic that she's doing or if it is a metaphor for her getting her payback when she goes to collect money. But either way, the rumor spreads to the king, and then he wants to get his hands on her to use her for his own means, which she is not really so interested in. My next O.W.L. that I have to pass is for Arithmancy, and this one is to read a book with more than one author. Again, I have 2 options for this one. The first one being Over the Garden Wall Volume 3, which is the 3rd graphic novel in the Over the Garden Wall series. I read volumes 1 and 2 in August, and I really enjoyed them. It's just like a fun kind of expansion upon the television show. I'm curious to see what this one will add to the world. And then my second option is Twilight of the Elves by Nick Eliopoulos and Zach Lauren Clark. This is the 2nd book in the Adventurers Guild series, and this is a middle grade series that is heavily rooted in Dungeons and Dragons. I reread the 1st book in August because I really wanted to read the 2nd book and then be caught up for when the 3rd book comes out in December, and I really enjoyed reading it. My friend Mackie kind of said it best. It's like a love letter to Dungeons and Dragons, and I was so invested in the story. Just the whole structure of the story is like the structure of a D&D campaign, so I'm itching to pick up the 2nd book, and I'm really hoping to do so this month. My next O.W.L. will be for Defense Against the Dark Arts, and this is a book that starts with the letter R. So for this one, I'm gonna go with Runaways Volume 1 by Rainbow Rowell. This is one that I've been meaning to get to for the longest time. I really enjoyed the original Runaways series, which was written by Brian K. Vaughan, and I'm really excited to see what Rainbow's reboot of these characters is going to be like. And with my next O.W.L., you will see why I chose some shorter books for the beginning ones. So we have History of Magic, and for this one, you have to read a book that was published over 10 years ago. My first choice is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is the first book in the Wheel of Time series. This is a series that I have been really hoping to to get into, and I have been planning on starting it in September, and it fits this prompt perfectly, so this is like my #1 priority read for the month, but I just don't know how long it's going to take me. I've heard so much about how dense this series is. Like, look at how big that is. So I just don't know, so I might need to read a bunch of the graphic novels to fulfill other prompts, since I'm planning on investing so much of my time and energy into The Eye of the Worlds. I can't wait. I'm so excited to finally read this series. And then my second book that I also want to read for History of Magic is another book that is on the longer side, and that is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I love the Mistborn series so much, and I can't wait to read more of his work. Warbreaker is a standalone, although I know it's rumored that he's going to be writing a second book, but I wanted to read one of his standalones before I jump into the Stormlight Archive, which I know is going to be a really long time for me to read. So I figured that this would be a good one to have under my belt, and I thought that September would be a good month to do it. I'd been planning on reading potentially like 1 to 2 Brandon Sanderson books per month going forward until I'm caught up on everything in the Cosmere at least, and then I'll probably explore some of the other series that aren't necessarily in that world. So those 2 books alone are really long. And then continuing on, the last owl that I need to meet is for Transfiguration, and I have 3 books that were all priority reads for me in September that fit this prompt, and they're also on the longer side. So again, this is why I went with some shorter books earlier on. This prompt is a book with sprayed pages or red on the cover. So my #1 pick is Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This is one that I've been saying that I'm going to read. Oh yeah, nice. Good job. This is one that I've been saying that I'm planning on reading for so long. It's one of the books that I was like, I am reading this in 2019 no matter what. Actually, so was Spinning Silver, so I'll be really excited to get 2 of those off of my list just within this 1 month. This follows a band of mercenaries who are past their prime. One of them comes back and begs the other guys to help him because his daughter is trapped in another city. So they get the band back together and go on this next quest to try to save this guy's daughter, but all of them are kind of older and drunks and overweight and not really in their prime like they were at the height of their questing. So I'm really excited to read this one. I've heard that this one reads quickly, and this one's also like 500 pages, so you can see I'm gonna be spending like 90% of my time reading in September. Also with red on the cover is The Time of Contempt by Andrew Sapkowski. This is the next book that I'm up to in the Witcher series. Once I finish filming this video, I'm about to finish reading Blood of Elves. I only have like 100 pages left to go, and I'm really enjoying the series. I liked the 2 short story collections better than the first full-length novel, but I love the characters so much, so I'm ready to see where the story is gonna go from here. And then my last book that was also a priority September read for me is God's Grave by Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in the Nevernight series. I read the first one and I really enjoyed it, but I hadn't ever picked up the second one because I was waiting until closer to the 3rd book, Dark Dawn, for that release to come out. Now it's like just about upon us and I still haven't read God's Grave, so I really need to do that, and yeah, that's why this one was a for sure priority. So that's actually a total of 9 books that I have planned for September. 10. That's a total of 10 books that I have planned for September. I don't have Oh my gosh, it's 11. So that's a total of 11 books that I have planned for September. Under normal circumstances, I would say no problem, I've got this. But considering that so many of these are very thick fantasy novels that are 500 pages or more, I think I'm gonna be really trying to meet this goal. I know that I'll be able to make my owls by just completing 1 for each of those, so I'm not concerned about that. Like, I definitely think that's going to happen. I do think I'm gonna be reading like a lot. If you remember from last month's TBR, I have also been trying to mention a video game that I'll be playing for the month. I talked about Hollow Knight, which is this indie game that came out for the Switch, and I finally got my collector's edition in the mail, but unfortunately I didn't get to play it last month because it didn't end up shipping until the very end of August. So in the meantime, Andrew and I ended up playing The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince, which is a really cute indie game. This one's actually a pretty short game. I think it's only like, I want to say it only takes like 6-ish hours to beat. It's translated from Japanese. It has some really nice like Eastern story elements to it, and it was really fun to follow. The game mechanics are a little bit weird. There's not really too much that you can do. You kind of have to like turn into a wolf sometimes and like defeat bad guys, but really you're just like trying to keep this prince alive. And the story is really cute, but it's also kind of sad. And I really enjoyed like the graphics and everything, but I thought that the game mechanics were kind of annoying, and Andrew definitely had to play like the latter half of it because I was getting frustrated, but it was still a really good time. So that's what I played last month, and now this month I'll actually be playing Hollow Knight, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. So let me know if you guys have already participated in your Owls. I know that I am kind of late to the game with this one, but actually I'm participating along with Alexa from Alexa Loves Books. We both decided that September would be like the ideal month for us to participate, so this is my TBR. This is my plan. I'm going to be doing some reading vlogs each week to keep you guys apprised on my progress. So that's all that I have for this video, and I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!